Hi MS Workouts community. Improving mobility is the #1 reason why most of our online members living with multiple sclerosis come to us and stick with our program. Our approach is multi-pronged, but if you're looking to improve or maintain your mobility, you need to strengthen your glutes, lower back, and hamstrings. A great and easy way to effectively do this is by performing the steady pace hip bridge, and that's exactly what we're going to do today in this video. Let's go. Welcome back to the MS Workouts YouTube channel. I'm Jeff Gott, exercise physiologist at Practical Fitness and MS Workouts, and co-creator of the Steady Pace exercise technique. In this channel, we help you gain strength safely and effectively and progressively so that you can feel more confident doing the things that you love to do. Every week, we release new exercises, stretches, yoga, talks, and so much more. So make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications so you can be notified when every single new latest video comes out and drops. Now, before we begin exercising, I want you to understand, it doesn't matter how high you can lift your rear end during this exercise or even how far you get into that 130 point. All that matters and all that I care about and you should care about is that you give your very best effort, because that's going to give you the best results. You didn't lose your mobility in one day and you're not going to gain it back in one day. Remember that. It's kind of like that saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. So simply show up, give your best effort here, and you will get the best results you can. Okay, let's execute that steady pace metabolic hip bridge. The first thing we're going to do is, obviously I'm on the ground, okay? I have an exercise mat underneath me, the cushion if I want to. You can use the bed or a couch, any other type of apparatus to help you if you cannot get down on the ground and up off the ground safely. You need to get onto your back somewhere. We're going to sit down flat, bend the knees, feet are going to go flat onto the ground. We're going to lay all the way down to the ground flat, back is flat. Now the hip bridge is going to target the hamstrings, the glutes, as well as the erector spinae muscles on either side of your back. We do want to load this exercise. I'm going to put a cushion here on top of my hips. What we're trying to load is the pelvis or the hips, okay? Now, resistance comes here. If you're going to use a resistance band, you wrap the band around your waist, anchor it to your heels. You're going to use your dog, your child, a water jug, whatever it may be, load the pelvis and the hips. That's what's going to allow the muscles to get the most out of the exercise. Now this metabolic technique set, we're going to execute a static hold, which means we're going to lift the hips up, attempt to lift the hips up as high as you can. That engages the hamstrings, the glutes, and the erectors, and you're going to hold it as high as you can for as long as you can during this 1.5 minutes. When you can no longer keep the hips up high, notate the time. Notice I have a joystick clock here. It's important to be measured. All right, so you want to keep the knees slightly flared. You want to push through the heels, and clock is on. Now attempt to raise the rear end. Now, I'm going to raise my rear end as high as I can. I'm pushing through heels. Immediately I feel my hamstrings engage and glutes. Keep the pelvis in a neutral position. Don't arch the low back. Think about a dog tucking its tail. That's the position you want to stay in. You'll feel your glutes and you will not feel your low back. Now, do not fret, as I've mentioned and will mention, okay? If you cannot raise your hips up as high as I have them, you literally actively engage your glutes at the highest level you can. If you do not feel like your rear end's even coming up off the ground, as long as you're as high as you can with your best effort, that's the most important thing. If the hamstrings cramp, all you do is slowly lower the hips, straighten the leg out. It's just because it's exercising and you're getting its attention. You should be pushing down into the ground, actively trying to compress the floor, the bed, the mat that's underneath you, knees slightly flared. You should start to feel a burn in the hamstrings and the glutes. Make sure that clock is somewhere that you can see where you're at. We're heading into what we call the exhaust range, which is the final 30 seconds of the exercise. Breathing freely. Now remember, we are squeezing, we are engaging the entire time. It is going to burn, there's going to be a shake, there's going to be a rattle or roll. If and when you can't continue with the hips fully extended with proper form, that's success, because we know we've fully exhausted the muscles and challenged it. No more than 5 seconds. 4, I'm feeling a deep burn in my rear end and my hamstrings. For 2, 1, now let's slowly lower out of the exercise. Completed, right, on my end. I did not successfully exhaust the muscles, but that's okay. I gave my very best effort, right? Pelvis was tucked, Through the heels, I was actively engaged. Now, if I would have reached muscle exhaustion, I would have just lowered my hips, again, notated the time, and then jumped back in with my best effort. All right, let's go ahead and grab our progress journals. If you don't have one, then please download a free one using the link in the description box below this video. Now, in the column where it says exercise, I want you to write down metabolic hip bridge. Under the time area, I want you to write down what time you could no longer continue to perform the exercise with fully engaged form, right? Muscles working. For me, I completed the entire set. I got to the 130 mark, so I'm going to write down 130. Okay, the resistance you used, write that under color band. If you didn't use a resistance and you simply used your body weight, then write body weight underneath that column. Since I reached 130, I'm going to circle the plus sign under the outcome column. If you reached 115 or more, then circle that plus sign. That plus indicates that you need to make the exercise more challenging when you perform this exercise in the next couple days. To make this exercise more challenging, use a heavier resistance band or hold a dumbbell on top of your waist, a book, or any type of resistance will do. It needs to be across that waist. It needs to be loading the pelvis during the exercise. That's going to increase the challenge. If you reached 115 or more than that, again, circle that plus sign. If you did not reach 115, then circle OK. Don't worry about the minus sign since it doesn't really apply to this exercise. Also, I want you to write down somewhere in the journal how high you were able to raise your rear end. If you were able to raise it up just a little bit, then write down that. If you were able to raise it up halfway, all the way to full extension, write that down. Perform this exercise 2 to 3 times per week, always with a day of rest in between. That's where your results come, right? Write down the results of every exercise session so you know what to do next time. And if you stay consistent with this process, then over time, you should notice that you get stronger. You're able to lift your hips higher during the exercise, and you have stronger glutes, hips, and more stability into your low back. Thanks so much for joining us today for this week's video. If you're struggling with improving your mobility, then consider becoming a member of MS Workouts, where you can get Thank you all so very much for joining us today. Please leave your comments below. Let us know what future videos that you would like to see so that we can make that happen in the future for you. We'll see you all next week.